Power Hour with John Lee.
Yeah. We're going to start with Rubin Carter. Many of you might know Rubin, many of you won't. Who gives a fuck? I'm going to tell you now anyway. Rubin Carter was a middleweight boxer, and he was quite good. He was like, if you know your boxing, I would say that he was a poor man's Marvin Hagler. So he could swap, you know what I mean? He was great on the attack. He ran over people, he ran through people, he was vicious, smash, really hurt people. But he was a typical kind of a case where any time he came up against somebody who had superior boxing skills, because he wasn't the greatest boxer, superior boxing skills and could take a punch, he fucking folded. You know what I mean? He was a bully. And that's what bullies do. They fucking come on strong, they give it all the big un, they start giving out licks. But if they realise after a few punches or whatever, or even if it's in a different context, if they realise that their bullying is not really doing what they want it to do, it's not having the desired effect, then all the self-doubt that they carry inside them starts to flood to the surface. The nightmares start coming through in the mind. What if this doesn't work? What if the fucking bully becomes the bully, starts fucking bullying me? Oh my God, I've fucking gone out on a limb here with my bullying tactics. If I get smashed after this, I'm going to look a right cunt, and then I'm going to have to try and live with myself. And that doubt, it just floods the mind and floods the body. And that's why they always crumble. That's why bullies always crumble when you push back. And he was like that. And he got into the middle rounds as a boxer, and if anyone said, well, I don't think you're that fucking hard, you know what I mean? I'll see you in 1 minute, dickhead. You know, then he fell apart, and he lost a lot of fights for that reason. And another thing about Rubin Carter, as I say, he was a bully, right? He's a fucking arsehole. And he had a lot of racist tendencies, right? I mean, anti-white tendencies, very strongly anti-white. Now, I'm kind of anti-establishment by nature, and if you consider that the establishment is predominantly, if not almost exclusively, white on a global level, then I can understand a black person being against that, feeling frustrated by that, feeling excluded from that, and feeling like you were born into a lower caste, and no matter how good you are or how clever you are or anything else, you will never belong to that. The good news is neither will I. Do you know what I mean? Neither will I. But I'm not saying I understand black people. I'm saying that I am not part of the machine or the privileged few. So on some level I can understand why black people would feel that way. Another thing, however, I would suggest is to hate a person based on the colour of their skin. And that's what Rubin Carter did. He hated white people. Anyone was white, you know what I mean? So if he was talking to you on the phone and he was having a great time with you, thinking you're fucking brilliant, and then you say, by the way, I'm white, and he says, right, I fucking hate you now. That's racism. This guy was a fucking racist, and he was a violent bastard, and he was generally disliked. And so he was actually, as he became more famous, he became more unpopular with the establishment, with the state. White people in power, white America as they call it, didn't like him. You know, if you're going to be famous and you're going to be rich and you're going to be successful in our fucking system, playing our game, then you need to observe our rules. And our rules specifically state that black people will know their place. Right? Don't run around criticising us, talking about the system, talking about racism, even using fucking defamatory language, because we will stamp on your neck. And unfortunately, that has been proven true. Not just against black people. I'll come to other cases later, but it's very hard to look beyond the plight of the African. And so, this guy is a decent boxer, but he's a bad man in lots of ways. He's violent. He comes from New Jersey. He's from Paterson, New Jersey. It's a tough area. It's a rough area. He's known as an hard bastard growing up. He's a violent kid, violent youth. That's why he got into his boxing, and you know he lit people up, and he had a talent for hurting people, as I say. But a bully not used to taking his beats, you see. And growing up in that environment, as a black man with a bad attitude, antisocial and racist, he was pretty much an easy target for anybody who wanted to paint him in a negative light. Easy done. And then one night, somebody walked into a bar, early doors as we say, in the early hours of the morning, 2:30 in the morning, 2:30 a.m. Somebody walks into a bar, two guys, and one of them opens fire and shoots and kills three men. One of them's trying to get away. Fat lad, fat guy, trying to run away. Poor bastard. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who's done what to who and what the dynamics are. But you fuck me, if you find yourself running away from a fucking gunman who's trying to kill you and shooting you and your mates are fucking dead on the floor, that's a really bad experience. And that's what happened. You know, they were shot and killed in cold blood. This was a gangland assassination, you might say. I'm assuming it was a gang thing. It's hardcore for a personal issue, that. And so they were taken out, and then Rubin Carter was generally in the area, and he had a very kind of obvious or notable car, and it was a white car that was very noticeable in the area, and so that was kind of recognised, and they were stopped. You know, while they were doing the thing, Rubin Carter and his friend, a guy called Artis, they were in the car, and there was another guy in the car, and they were stopped by the police, and they were quizzed, and they were asked questions about it, and they said, "Well, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about," and so a search was done. You know, they went through the routine of it all, and they got them out of the car, torches, hands and feet, neck, you know what I mean, behind the ears. And then they searched the vehicle. Now you're saying, well, why would they do that? Well, because if you're fucking shotgun blast somebody or, you know, whatever, fucking what was that? Or you're just going to fucking beat somebody, the places where you're not going to clean are going to be behind your ears. You might get blood splash like that, yeah? And you're going in, you run in a bathroom somewhere, you give it some of this, maybe you might miss behind the ears, under the collar. So that's why they'll grip you, the police, like that, chin up, pull your collar down, like that, behind your ears, give all that shit under your nails, you know what I mean? So they've given them all that. And then they've turned the car out, so everything's out on the fucking pavement. They're looking for any weapons, any sign of blood in the car, anything that might indicate a crime, fuck all, nothing. You know what I mean? The car was clean and they were clean. And this crime had only happened a few minutes before. So the idea, right, that they would have been able to walk into this bar, murder three men at close range, blast, 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 then fucking leave the bar, get in their highly identifiable vehicle, by the way, and drive around the local area, only to be pulled over a few minutes later, clean. I mean, it's a major operation to clean yourself down after a triple murder, I imagine. So for all three of them to do it successfully and then get in the car and not leave any trace of anything in the car, I know we're talking pre-DNA, but even fibres and whatnot, fuck all, no sign of any violence, no guns, nothing. What have they done with the guns and the ammo? And so they were allowed to go, but then they were stopped again. About 45 minutes later, they're driving where they're driving, and they get pulled over again, and this time they're arrested, right? And they were interrogated for 17 hours, and then they were released. 17 hours of interrogation, and they're released. Then they're arrested again 3 weeks later. So what does that tell me? Well, you could say it's part of the course of an interrogation. If you're going to interrogate somebody for 17 hours, it's because you've got a lot of questions. Now, they've been stopped, they've been checked, they've been searched, they've been examined. Nothing's been found. Minutes after the crime. That would indicate innocence to me, because I just see it so logistically difficult to achieve that. But nonetheless, they're interviewed for 17 hours and they're not charged. They're actually released. A few weeks later, they get arrested again. So there's alarm bells ringing here. You fucking pulled them over at the time. You've checked them, you've checked the car, you've let them go. You've gone, you've arrested them again, you've pulled them in. Right, 45 minutes later, you've fucking nicked them again, you've brought them in, you've interrogated them for 17 hours, right, the same night into the next day, and then you've released them again. Then you've gone back weeks later and arrested them. What does that tell me? That tells me that you tried to fucking pin it on these guys. You did whatever the fuck you could to pin it on these black men in a car. Pin it on these fucking black men in a car. And you couldn't. Couldn't fucking rustle up any evidence. Maybe there were too many people around to plant evidence, or you didn't bring the evidence with you to plant. And so you couldn't do it like that. Fuckers. Right, let you go. These fuckers are going down that road. Right? We couldn't fucking keep them. We couldn't hold them. We couldn't bring them in. There's no violations. Couldn't find any fucking violations. Get them again. Right, so they've gone after them this time. Fucking brought them in. 17 hours. We'll have your family in a cell. You fucker. We'll ruin your life in this way, that way, and the other fucking way. You'll do fucking 10 years in jail waiting for your trial, because we won't give you a fucking trial, you scumbag. You think we haven't got tricks? Right? If you didn't do this, you did something else. All that fucking shit. Giving it the big un. Giving it the big un. Right? Maybe licking them up. Bang, bang. You know, sign that. And they wouldn't. They said, fuck you. So they had to let him go. Had to let him go again. After 17 hours, I'm feeling like they let him go because they had to let him go. And then they're going around, right, fuck it, let's find someone else. Let's fucking pin this shit on someone else. Because we don't know who did it, or we do, and we don't want to arrest them for whatever reason. Maybe the crime was done by people on our payroll, not necessarily police. Maybe cooperating witnesses, right? Grasses, fucking, you know, people who are wired up working for the FBI, whatever. We don't want to arrest them. Get some black men in. Fucking charge them. They've probably done something anyway. And then they've gone around for a few weeks looking for someone else to blame. Haven't been able to fucking come up with anybody. So they went, right, go and get them fuckers. You watch. Watch and learn. So they brought them back in and they've put the case up. Right? Look at him. He's fucking black. Of course he did it. You know what I mean? And his fucking mates, they did it as well. And I mean, the thing is, fucking Carter, Rubin Carter, he was a fucking knob. He was a dickhead. Right? Terrible personality, arrogant bastard. He was a violent man, and was on record as talking about going down to a white area and just fucking killing everybody. So he wasn't a pleasant character. So it was quite easy to convince a jury, at least to scare the jury, look, get this guy off the fucking street. You're exactly the kind of people he will be going after. He won't recognise you next week. He'll fucking kill you and take your money off you. Get him in a cell. So, you know, it's not an hard sell, that. You can fucking sell that to middle-class people of any colour. And his mate, though, the guy who was with him, who got sent down, Mr. Artist, he was the nicest, sweetest lad in the world. What the fuck he was doing in the car, I don't know. Absolutely not the kind of person you would associate with any kind of violence, much less violent crime. And wrong place, wrong time, wrong company. They both get life sentences. Well, they all do. All three of them. I think all three of them got life sentences. They were convicted for the 3 murders anyway. Ashley checked that. I'm not sure on the third one. I know Carter and Artist did. They got life sentences for the 3 murders at state prison. And, you know, they had appeals and all that. Fuck off. You know, another appeal, fuck off. And what happened is, they got them in a box. And then once they've got you in that box, they don't want to let you out. And we can hypothesise, why not? Is it because they don't want to climb down? Because they want to save face? Is it that they don't want to face the accusations of racism and stereotyping? Is it that they want to protect the system? Is that the nature of the system to protect itself? And these people that you're seeing in uniforms or ties, they're just part of the system. They're cogs of the system. They're fucking robots, essentially. who just get wheeled out to protect the fucking system. And so the prosecutors and the judges and the probation officers and the media, anyone who's part of the machine, part of the system, is there, and they've got a job to do, and that job is to protect the fucking system itself. And this guy proposes a danger because if he's fucking railroaded, if he's been slammed in a cell for something that he didn't do, and these cops fucking either have no idea whether he did it or not, or they actively know he didn't fucking do it, and then that was able to sail through the court system. This guy was get sent down for life, and his mate gets sent down for life. And fucking all the judicial processes and the legal systems that are supposed to be great, nothing but glorious statements from the American establishment about their judicial system, which for me is bought and paid for, and that's the point, I think, really. The whole fucking thing could crumble if that comes to light, because the truth comes out. It's a fucking pay-for-play system, right? If you've got the money to pay for that lawyer, and that lawyer can go out and hire a private fucking detective, top quality, and you can get your own experts in, you can get your own forensic work done, right? You can get your own experts charging by the hour to come into a courtroom and convince a jury that you are fucking innocent, or cloud the issue so much with verbal and intellectual gymnastics that nobody can remember what the fucking charge was to begin with. And then you're going to say as well, there's that hint, fucking, what if you're wrong? He's far more dangerous than a real murderer, this guy, or a tenpenny gangster. This guy's part of the establishment. Are you really going to send this white man to prison? And what if he gets out in 6 months and comes after you with his lawyers and all that shit? And and all these friends in positions of power. Do you want to get on the wrong side of this clique in society? Because that's what you're doing. And I think that's what we're coming down to. I mean, how many fucking rich people are filling up death row? How many people on death row come from affluent backgrounds? How many guilty people bought their way out of legal problems? Countless. And I think that's what's happening in America. Obviously, what you've got is a system which has been bought and paid for, like every other system. It's a hyper-capitalist society in which everything is up for sale. And I don't think justice is outside that dynamic, that equation. I think it's absolutely fundamentally part of it. And it's a great example of what happens when capitalism goes rogue. It becomes fascism. It loses all sensation and it becomes solid. And what is fascism? Little detour. It's when it's literally, you get little sticks like that are breakable, right? And you pull them all together into one bunch of sticks and you tie them round like that. And now that bunch of sticks is fucking unbreakable. You will not break that. That is the whole concept of fascism. It's the press and it's the fucking judicial system. It's all the elements, the politicians, it's the army, it's the police. It's all possible nodes or pillars of power brought together and united into one block that is totally unbreakable and totally impenetrable. That's what fascism is. And when you're seeing it in America now, over the last 40 years at least, you have to say that there is at least a strong fascist element to the governance of the United States, and that gives us this hallmark, this completely unfair system of punishment, where if the state decides you're guilty, you're fucking guilty, get in your cell and you come out feet first. And so this guy, he managed to get the attention anyway. Rubin got the attention of some well-meaning journalists, writers, and they started petitioning and getting things together and mobilising his case, and eventually he got a retrial. I think 1985. His conviction was overturned in 1985, and they let him go. And then there were fucking prosecutors said, right, fuck it, we can't. It's not that we're going to say he's innocent. We're not going to admit that he's innocent. We're not going to try the case again because we're not going to spend the money on it, and we'll probably lose, and we're getting too much attention. So they let him go. And he became a free man. And I've seen him in interviews. He strikes me as a fucking dickhead. Unpleasant individual. And again, Denzel, you're guilty, mate. Denzel Washington. Guilty of being part of these propaganda films. These kind of, well, maybe not propaganda, but nicing it all up. And abandoning reality entirely when you're playing the part of somebody, of a real character. So we saw him in American Gangster as Frank Lucas, which was a fucking absolute bastardization of the real story of Frank Lucas. He was also in The Hurricane, right, where he played Rubin Carter. And that film is, again, an absolute bastardization of the story of Hurricane Carter. He didn't become a fucking smurf at the end of the film. He came out as a fucking idiot who got out of prison because he was probably innocent of the crime, but he didn't come out as the fucking Captain Kumbaya that Denzel likes to portray him as. 19 fucking years in jail he did. 19 years in jail for a crime that he did not commit. Why? Because he was black and he had an unpalatable attitude, and he didn't have the money and the connections to buy his way out of a cell. So, Rubin Carter was freed in the end. We're going to boom.